So I'm always going to take the lead and sit back and follow Black women because they're always on the right side of history and they always do the right thing. And so if Black women are tired and they want to sit down and have some popcorn and some red wine or some white wine, can I draw you a foot bath? And how warm would you like the water for your foot bath?
Hey everybody, welcome to Read This, Read That. I am Jackie Reed.
And I'm Joy Henry.
What's up, Play Cousin? How you doing?
You know what? I'm doing well, cuz. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Excellent.
Doing all right. I'm not acknowledging the new year.
I love it.
Oh, thank you. I'm not acknowledging the new year. As you know,
Yes,
I had a crazy New Year's Eve. Went to bed before the clock struck midnight. I was like, I'm tapping out of this.
Now, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Is it because you simply did not want to acknowledge the reality of 2025 to come, so you decided to go to bed? Or was there some other reason you went to bed early?
I went to bed early because I was in the midst of dealing with storm disaster from a tree falling, knocking out not only my power, but the entire neighborhood, which was I felt guilty because it was a tree from my yard that fell on power lines on New Year's Eve and knocked out power for everybody. Georgia Power. I mean, we had to call the fire department because there were live wires. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I had this whole evening planned, and it was like, as did my neighbors, because there was a tree blocking the road. One woman was coming home and she had groceries and had her son in the car, and she had to go to her sister's house for New Year's Eve. The lights came on for everybody at 11:30 p.m. except for little old me. As the trucks were driving off, I was looking out my window holding a candle, like, where they going? And I ran outside like a dog whose owner has dropped it off. And girl, I was running, like, where y'all going? And I ran up to the guy and I was like, my power's not on. And he was like, oh yeah, you have to call an electrician because when the tree fell, it ripped all the wiring and connectivity to your house completely out. And we don't do that. We'll come back. And I was like, it's New Year's Eve. But nope. So when they left, I walked away from the man in darkness because after their trucks pulled off, it was pitch black because I live in the woods, so it's dark. My neighbors had their lights on, but that's way off in the distance. Girl, I cried all the way back to my house.
Oh, no.
And I went, and I swear to you, I just went and got in the bed, and I put my phone, like what was left of the charge that I had. Because I just put, and I said, I'm tapping out. I am not acknowledging that this is, nope. So I'm not officially acknowledging the new year. Out of politeness, I'll say Happy New Year, but I have to recreate this evening for myself. I have to cook what I'm going to cook. I have to watch what I was going to watch. I have to do what I was going to do on New Year's Eve all the way up until midnight.
So you can acknowledge it.
So I can acknowledge it. It is not fully the new year for me, but girl, it was tragic. It was tragic.
And it answers a lot of questions because I did my text, reaching out to friends for New Year's, and I reached out to my cousin, my source sister, cousin friend, Jackie Reed, and didn't get a response. So my assumption was, well, she must be really partying because I did not hear back from my sister until a day and a half later when I got not this full story in the fullness that you just gave it.
Right.
You were like, I'm just recovering from a blackout. And I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. It took 3 days to get the power back because and it took 3 days to get the tree out of the road. I felt like my neighbors were like, until you do right by me. This bitch right here. We told you to cut down them damn trees.
Wow.
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. was hard. I could do nothing but get in the bed. I mean, when I tell you the sobbing that was happening when I walked away, when that truck pulled off, I was just like,
It's just pulling off into the distance. You see the little lights disappearing away.
girl. And then I was like, well, let me get back into my dark, cold, heatless home. And I put on about 3 layers of clothing, put on some pajamas, my onesie, and then my robe, and I got in the bed.
Oh no. Yeah, we have to redo New Year's for
It
you.
needs a do-over.
We need a do-over of New Year's, 1,000%. That ain't
what
right.
about you? How was
I don't even want to tell you now.
How was a normal New Year's Eve?
A normal New Year's. We had a good time. Your buddy Kim McCrae was here.
That's my girl.
And she came by with her new man. And we got to meet him and hang out with him. And we had a very small, very low key, just those of us in the house, my friend Wanji and Winsome and my brother, the dogs and the couple. And we all just kind of chilled in the basement, and we had on, I don't, I'm not a big CNN fan without our friend Don Lemon, but we had it on because Carrie Champion, our dear friend, was one of the hosts. We were waiting, and it took until like 1 a.m. before they let her on. Like only after midnight did she come on. We were like, why wasn't she the co-host? I'm thinking she's going to be co-hosting with Anderson Cooper. And they kept having like the 2 white guys, the guy from Watch What Happens and Anderson all night. Andy Cohen and Anderson. And I was waiting for Carrie and waiting and waiting. And we just had it on mute. And then we flipped around. We looked at ABC's, Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve, which has been since we were kids watching. And all the acts were there was nothing like exciting in terms of the entertainment. I felt a little disappointed that the entertainment being offered was kind of staid. There was there was some country music, not my favorite kind of music unless it's Beyonce, and nor Shabuzi. But they didn't have that, and so I just was kind of bored with it. So we pretty much had it on mute. We just had our own musical soundtrack playing. We had some food, and that's it. And then the challenge to me now that I have decided to go back to being a veggie-pescatarian is finding food, because now that I'm not vegan, y'all. I'm not as much of an activist as our cousin here.
Not yet.
But I don't eat red meat, and I definitely don't eat turkey because there was no, because that was my children. We ain't eating our children. And I don't eat chicken, so I'm not eating chicken wings and things like that. So it's like I'm trying to find food. So I had some fried fish, a little bit, but I mostly made my famous rice and peas. I had my rice and peas, which was delicious. Had some greens and was eating a lot of vegetables, but just trying to find nutrition, and drank some champers and called it a night. But I had lights, and so I feel guilty now about the whole thing. I actually feel quite badly that I actually had lights and heat.
Well, let me make you feel worse. It was hard for me to fall asleep because people out here in the country were shooting automatic weapons, and like not just fireworks, right? But the guns that people shoot on like you could hear the rapid fire. It was crazy that this is not outlawed to me. It's crazy. My neighbors and I were talking about it. Ooh. It was nuts. Yeah.
That is one of the traditions in America that I could definitely do without. This idea of shooting in the air on New Year's. How this got to be a tradition, I'll never know. What are you drinking, though, my dear?
I'm drinking my Prima Pave that I love, my non-alcoholic champagne. Well, not champagne because it's not the grape, but non-alcoholic. What are you drinking? It looks different. What is that?
I am having my Moet Nectar Imperial, which is the Nectar Imperial. It's the sweeter version of the rosé champagne.
That looks like a dessert wine.
It's kind of a dessert because it's sweet. You don't have to put Saint Germain or anything in it. You just pour it straight from the bottle and tip it up.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I want to let everybody know that we have a great show planned for you today because the one and only dear friend of ours, Don Lemon, is coming up. So please stay tuned for that. We're going to talk to him about his recent realness when it comes to MAGA people and just being an independent journalist now after years working in traditional mainstream media, being on his own and how that's going. And I'm interested in talking to him. We are both such fans of not only Don, but this new venture that he has going. And I can't wait to talk to him about that.
We love us some Lemon Live. We love lemon. It's basically lemonade, no chaser.
Yes, it is. And twice a day.
Twice
get
a
it
day.
at 10 in the morning, and then at 5, we get the hot topics at 10.
Listen.
And then we get him at 5. And I love that he, I'm sure that he was like, okay, my friends are on at this time and this time and this time. 5 o'clock is the perfect time to do it,
Perfect time. He's got it. He literally thought about it so in such an intelligent way. And Don is just such a great journalist and such a good friend. He's so much fun. If y'all are not following him on all the socials, I follow him on TikTok. So I get a preview of what we're going to get. And he puts his little clips and everything up. We're also going to talk to him about the man on the street interviews, which were so epic during the campaign. We have so much to talk to Don about. We're looking forward to it. So y'all stay tuned because that's coming up shortly.
Because I want to pick it. I got a bone to pick with him with all the MAGA people he was interviewing. I was like, where is he finding these people? You and I talked about that. I'm like, I want to know. Wow.
There we go. All right.
So we're speaking about, our New Year's Eves. And speaking of Eve, the rapper and actress and former rapper and actress Eve is, she's gone viral after she shared a picture with her husband and most of his family. And you can see her there on the left at the corner table. And I think that's her child sitting next to her left. But you can see she's the only person aside from her child of color. And I don't think you see her husband. He's standing at the other end of the table.
Her billionaire husband, right?
Yes, her billionaire husband. And let me tell you, this went viral because so many people were criticizing. They were saying it's a get out moment because they were like, where's her family? And, does somebody need to check on Eve? And I mean, it just really got out of control. But there were a lot of women, I have to say, Black women defending her, saying, hey, this is over in England, if I'm not mistaken, where her husband is from. And
is
where
he English but he's European. I'm not sure if he's
European.
English.
So I'm not sure if but it's not in America. Put it that way. So it's across the pond or somewhere outside of the United States, far, far away. And people, I would think that people were saying maybe they take time, maybe 1 year they're with her family in America, maybe 1 year they're over with his family, wherever he's from. But the main thing is mind your business. All of a sudden we're going to act like, they've been married for 10 years. They have
and by the way, I stand corrected. He is from the United Kingdom, Staffordshire.
so across the pond. So yeah, I just feel like she has a right to live her life. They've been married 10 years. They seem very happy together. She jumps in and out of entertainment when she wants to. She's in a television series here. She's hosting something there. She's living her life as she should. And people are so quick to judge people without even, it's not even your business. If she's happy and she looks very happy in that picture, why worry about it?
And by the way, I will note also that according to Eve, the idea that her husband is actually a billionaire is not true. Her his name is Maximilian Cooper. She says he's not a billionaire. Don't believe everything you hear on the internet. But as you said, they've been married for a decade. They have, I believe they have a daughter, and she's happy.
Well, he's a multimillionaire. That is true.
Multimillionaire for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, he definitely is. And she felt the need to respond to all this hate that was coming down, which I hate that she even did that. I don't think she owes anybody anything. She's living her life, and good for her.
She's living her best life now. And here's the reality. Black women are the most likely to be unmarried among every demographic. And so when we are able to find love, then we ought to celebrate that as other Black women. And I am happy for her that she found someone who loves and respects her. It's a blended family. A lot of those people that you see at the table were his other children. Apparently he has children from a previous relationship.
Yeah. Their child together is not his first child. He has older children, obviously.
I think their child together is the youngest child. His youngest child. They have a child together. Look, if she like it, I love it. I'm happy for Eve. I'm glad she found love. I'm glad she found someone who takes care of her and is willing to be there for her and her baby. God bless Eve. I hope you're very happy and enjoyed your new year. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how this even became a thing. People are just so quick to just judge. Sometimes I hate the internet. Indeed. I love it, but sometimes I hate it.
We do hope no one tried to touch her hair, though. That is,
but I'm sure.
But she seemed like the type that if they did, she would check them promptly.
I think after 10 years of being together, I'm sure they know better. I'm sure they learned that within the first 6 months. The man who needs no introduction whatsoever,
None.
longtime friend of both of us, and a man who formerly played the Barack to my Michelle, the one and only Don Lemon. Come on, Don Lemon up in the house. What's up, Don Lemon?
Ladies. Oh my gosh. Two of my favorite. You guys know, and you know I'm not lying. Y'all are my favorites. You know that.
We accept and receive that.
We're gonna accept it.
And we go back.
We
have history.
We go back.
Jackie and I live in the same building.
Yeah.
That's wild. I need to know the Barack and Michelle story. Please explain.
Oh my God. Do you remember that, Don? It was a while ago.
Explain. We were what?
So we were on the Tom Joyner cruise because we were both the Tom Joyner together. And every year we used to have to dress up in these costumes. Every night was a theme night. And so Don and I kind of had a protest because the guy who did the costumes, you know, Ian, who we love, who did the costumes, we dressed up as Barack and Michelle.
Right.
And so I was Michelle, of course, Don was Barack, but he wanted us both to wear Afro wigs as part of the theme. And we both were like, no, we're not doing that. And he was really bothered by it. But
because it was a disco kind of, it was like clubbing. We were hanging out on the cruise. Yeah. And we didn't do it.
We didn't want to do it. Yeah.
But we won.
We did.
Of course
we were. Listen, the Tom Joyner cruise, that's a whole other.
It's another podcast.
That was another life. I missed that. I do miss it though. I have to.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. And I miss having Tom on the air. But Don and I used to be neighbors in the same building.
I love it.
Listen, we got stories. But Don Lemon.
Well,
that's
Don
a
Lemon,
real
who now is the host of one of my favorite treats when I am not Netflix and chilling or in a deep rage about technology. I'm watching the Don Lemon Show online. I enjoy it so much when I tell you it is part of my therapy to watch Don unbridled by the corporate demons telling him what to do and nitpicking him and getting on him for being real. Don keeping it so real on the Don Lemon Show it is what God intended for us. It is what God wanted for us. And we thank you, Don, for giving it to us.
Joy.
It's the therapy you need.
Thank you, Joy. And Joy, because I know you know. And then we go way back in this whole corporate thing. Ooh. And do you remember when we first became friends and you and Tiff came to my Christmas party uptown years ago? And I'm like, I love these ladies. But Joy, you're my treat every night at 7 Eastern. You're my treat on MSNBC primetime. And
thank you.
They are.
I remember another event that the place where I finally met Candy Carter was at your engagement party.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I met Candy. I had heard of Candy Carter, who people will know used to be the executive producer of The View. The first time I ever actually met her in person was at your engagement party, right?
And a senior Oprah producer. She goes back to Oprah back in the day. Yeah.
That's so Don knows everybody.
Producer. Wasn't she the EP at Tamron Hall too?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
She's laid her hands on many great things. But Don Lemon, the only unfair thing I will say about what you're doing live now is that you interrupt my day in that I want to watch you at 10, but then I also want to watch Lemon live at 5. And it's just like, I don't have time in the morning to do what I need to do to be ready at 10. But I love that you're doing this twice a day. And I love the rant.
It's a lot, Jackie, I have to tell you, because, it's a lot for the team, because doing 2 live shows, I was supposed to do a couple shows a week, on the streaming show / podcast, whatever you want to call it, because it wasn't initially a podcast, but the audio version does go become a podcast. We send it out to iHeart and Apple and Spotify and all that. But I was just going to do a couple shows a week with interviews. And then I started doing it. And I said, well, this doesn't feel much different than when I was in corporate media, because I'm not really touching, and talking to my subscribers. And I said, I got to build a community. So I'm going to do live every day, live at 5 from my living room, not in this fancy studio that I bought. And it turns out it was a hit. And then I said, well, in the morning, people need something. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I said, we're missing that Wendy Hot Topics spirit in the morning.
Yes.
And I said, well, Wendy is on at 10 where I am. And she did the Hot Topics. And Sherry and I both love Wendy. Sherry's not doing Hot Topics. Sherry said, I'm not doing Hot Topics. Go for it. So I started doing the Hot Topics. And now that caught on. And so now I'm like, it's a lot to do. So the hot topics though became more popular than the Live at 5. I do have to tell you that.
Wow.
People want to start
Wow.
with this. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no,
Well, we
it's
love
good stuff.
all of it. And if those of you who are addicts like we are to Lemon Live and to the Don Lemon Show recently caught the recent takedown of the MAGAs who are getting their F around and find out moment.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Don laid into them in a way that honestly, I almost could imagine you doing on CNN, but I can't imagine your bosses liking it. It was
Yeah,
so good.
I wouldn't use the words that I used.
Yeah.
But look, I can't be anything but real. There are people who not sometimes, I think in this moment, I would not have done this, I think, in sort of a traditional sort of Republican versus Democratic moment. But I think you have to fight energy with energy. You have to match the energy, right?
Yeah.
And as much as I love Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. I don't believe we're in that phase or era anymore. And I think the Obamas realized that because you saw their energy at the convention. They realized that, okay, we're going to have to match the energy. And, you know, there are people who are legacy media icons who we love, mentors like Oprah. And I would always go, what would Oprah do? She would take the high road. She would do this. But now I figure I got to be Oprah and Gail, whoever, and Joy, because you can't always say it. I know you say it, but you can't say it like I can say it. I can say the F word. I can tell you to go F yourself. So I can be your proxy.
Yes.
I'm going to be your angry translator. like Key for Obama. I can be your angry translator.
Yes.
I can tell people to go and you know what. And because I believe you have to match that energy. And as I said in my clapback to the folks who were criticizing me, is that you have a higher expectation of me, an independent journalist and a former cable news host, than you have of the man sitting in the Oval Office or who will sit in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
So you expect better behavior from me instead of your dear leader?
Come on.
So no, I'm not doing that. When Donald Trump stops calling black women stupid and me dumb and athletes sons of bees, when he stops doing all of that racist and sexist and just bigoted down talking to people, then I will too.
There you go.
But as long as he's doing that, then I'm going to match it because I think that's what we need in the moment, because you cannot just be nice and civil and cordial and turn the other cheek in this moment. You got to fight fire with fire because these people are playing the long game. Democrats, I believe, are playing checkers. Republicans are playing chess, and Republicans are beating them at politicking, and Democrats need to want to win. And in order to win, we need more Jasmine Crockett. We need more Maxwell Frost. We need more Hakeem Jeffries. We need more Joy Reid. We need more Jackie Reed. We need more of folks like that who are willing to take a chance and step out and meet people and match their energy, meet people where they are and match their energy.
Did you feel, Don, when you were saying that? Because I was watching it when it happened and I was like, oh my goodness. Did you feel in the moment or after? It didn't, I almost asked this knowing the answer, but I just want to hear from you. Any regret at all? You know what I mean? Because based on.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off.
I was going to say, based on the years that you've spent in corporate, right? And kind of, you almost kind of edit yourself automatically. You don't even have to think about it.
Well, that's where I was going. You're very smart because, we are trained in that you got to think everything through 3, 4, 5 times. Is it accurate? Am I going to have to give a correction? Am I being fair? What are the bosses going to think? All kinds of things that you edit yourself in your head when you're in corporate media because you're trying, you are representing many people.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, I didn't like it. When my rabbi was at the network, I didn't have to worry about it, because I knew as long as I spoke facts, it was fine. But then there came a time when that did not matter. The facts didn't matter.
And you're talking about Jeff Zucker.
Jeff Zucker, yes. My rabbi, my Jeff Zucker, I believe beyond Ted Turner starting the network, originating the network, Jeff Zucker had the biggest impact other than Ted Turner, and maybe even bigger, because he allowed us to be us and he made us relevant. We made the most money. We had the highest ratings when he was there. So obviously he was doing something right. Okay. Yeah. And so as long as that happened when he was there, it was fine. But then there came a time when they wanted to make oxygen and room for people that I believe that did not live up to the journalistic standards of a CNN, election deniers, right? Insurrection apologists, liars about things that we know not to be true. And so I thought, well, why are we putting these people on equal footing? So you people, I believe, understand what happened to me at CNN. But I say that because
wait, let me put a pin in it. Oh, go, you finish, and then
no,
I got
go
a
ahead.
question.
Okay, all that I say that to say that there was a lot of self-editing. You're right around all of those things, and there comes a point where I think people in corporate media start to go, well, wait a minute, have I lost my mind? What am I doing? Like, wait, what is right? What is? And you start to question everything when really what matters is telling the truth. I was watching the Law and Order the other night, and you know, one of the guys said, don't like play into your enemies or even your bosses or whatever. Go where the law takes you. Go where the journalism takes you. Go where the truth and the facts take you. And then other than that, you know, that's what journalists should be concerned about. But in this moment where people are consenting in advance, acquiescing in advance because they don't want their corporate business in Washington disrupted in any way. They want their mergers and acquisitions to go through. They don't want some mouthy journalist ruining things for, I want to put this company with this company, and I want to make sure that the FCC is good with this. And rather than having that Chinese wall between journalism and the corporation, that is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Everyone has to be concerned about what they say because they don't want to piss off the Trump administration, because the Trump administration will then tell the people who own the companies, oh no, I'm gonna put you got that Joy Lemon over there mouthing off. And someone needs to take care of that Joy Lemon, or this is not happening for you. Trust me, that goes on. So anyway, sorry.
Let me ask you this, because I think a lot of people remember, and for me, one of the definitive moments in your career before you were doing independent media was your interview with Vivek Ramaswamy, which I thought for truth telling was really one of your finest hours, honestly, because you were confronted by someone who was arguing about the Black experience, who is not African American, and who was not being factual. And you were insisting both upon the facts, which you were correct on, and on a respect for the Black experience. Yeah. That was not received well at your company. But I think for a lot of Black folk, they were like, this is somebody standing on truth and standing on facts and standing for us. I want to know how you felt in that moment when the way you were being received by the Black community, who felt so affirmed by what you were doing, was in such contrast to the way the right, and even in some ways the corporate world, was receiving it. Well,
just so people understand, I was gone a few days after that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do you know? And that was the only time ever in the history of CNN have I ever been called to the principal's office.
Wow.
And then I was gone after that. I can't say too much about it, but you guys know what's up.
Sure.
That's so everyone thinks like, oh, it was a Nikki Haley of it all. It was not.
Well, it was this moment before you were let go, but as you know, you were moved around, you know, from the evening to the mornings and all the things that were happening. It was this shift I think, in a lot of media organizations, you know, to the center. You know, to the right, to try to go after the MAGA audience.
But that's not the center. That's the right.
It's not the center, but I feel like even for CNN, there was liberal leanings, right, with what was going on. Not in a hard way. It was truth telling, and I mean, I know what you're going to say. It was truth telling, but it was not, you know, apologizing or making room for, you know, January 6th apologists or, you know, folks like that. It wasn't making, whereas CNN, there was a shift to making room for that. More than we saw at MSNBC. We really saw that shift at CNN in those months and weeks before that moment. And then you left. To me,
it was a lurch to the right.
Yes.
Do you think, and I this is the one place that I've generally been kind of maybe a little on my own on this. I never saw CNN as particularly liberal. I mean, CNN was very factual. You know, they have Christiane Amanpour over there. You know, I don't see her as a liberal. She's just a very fact-based journalist. They have, And it seemed like CNN was very neutral. Like the whole cast of it
Yeah.
was a pretty neutral approach. But I think the right read it as liberal, because if you're just neutral about January 6th, you're going to sound liberal to a conservative who thinks January 6th was patriotic, right? But if you're
Right.
neutral about it, you sound I don't believe in this idea that there's this liberal media. I think media has tended, if anything, to be a little fearful of the right? I mean, do you agree with me on that?
No, I do agree with you, because people would always say, "Well, it's liberal." I said, "I don't see the liberal." And if you were inside of the network, then you knew that that wasn't true. It was really the facts and the news. The news was a star. The facts are the star. And then, of course, there were star anchors and people who told the news, which they're getting away from now. But I never saw CNN as particularly liberal. And these are all things that everything that I'm saying now are all things that I've said before publicly.
Sure.
No, so I think that when folks realized that, they were like, well, wait a minute, what is going on? And I think that I think everyone is having, I think legacy media now is having a tough time. But I think that there are things that you can do that can also contribute to the tough times that you're having. And that is that is forgetting who your audience really is, and forgetting who you are. And I think many companies do that when they all of a sudden they try to change things too quickly, and they forget who they are and they forget who they're serving. It is easy for a company to commit reputational suicide, right? To commit brand suicide, right? By doing that and just sort of ruining the brand, or at least tarnishing the brand. No, I think that CNN has a very strong brand, very strong reputation. But I think that I think that they're having a tough moment right now, as all are, and everyone should be more cognizant about who they're serving, who their viewers are, and what the mission and the role of their particular brand of journalism is.
Yeah, I think CNN now, and like I said, I feel they're playing a dangerous game when it comes to journalism and just reporting the facts. I feel like they're making room. If you're watching different shows that are going on now, they include at the table, people who are far right. And I just feel like it's disturbing to not fact check those people in the way that they need to be fact checked, not to challenge them, and even to give them airtime, to me, is problematic. But that's
if you look at my case, right? And people, Don was controversial. He said things that people didn't say, what have you. But now look, they are paying people on the other side to go even beyond that. And and promote it. And I would imagine they're very proud of it because they allow it to go on. I'm not there. I don't know. But look, the MAGA folks, if you're there and you cause a ruckus or a controversy, even if you say things that are offensive or even things that are not true, they love it. So, I'm just saying.
I want to ask
you know what I'm saying, right?
You know what you're saying. I want to ask you about something else that I think I really enjoy and that turned out to be the best way to understand what was going to happen in the last election. I had so many people send to me, and of course I saw them myself because I also follow you on TikTok, your man on the street interviews, which turned out to be the most accurate depiction of what was going on in the 2024 election, much more accurate than 90% of the reporting that made it look like Kamala Harris had the momentum. You were out there talking to regular people and seeing a lot of momentum for Trump. A lot of people ask me, is Don just literally looking for Trump voters to talk to? Cousin Jackie.
I was like, why? I didn't think you were looking for them.
Didn't you text me
How
and say
did you
that?
find the people? Well,
no, I was like, why are you interviewing all these Trump people, Don? I was like, what is happening?
That's what was happening.
Like, are you going to the side of town where it's just Trump people? I didn't want to believe, that this was just man on the street, even though I respect you as a journalist. I was like, where is he going? To the racetrack? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, I know people were mad at me. They were like, what are you doing, Don? Why are you doing this? And they were wondering if I was curating the responses of the people I spoke to. And I wasn't. I was just doing, you guys know how to do man on the street. You just walk, hey, man, can I talk to you? Hey, what do you think about this? Who are you voting for? Who do you support? What do you think? And I was just random people. And I knew the first day that I went out to Atlantic City and the demographics that you thought would support certain people weren't support. The demographics weren't demographicing, if you know what I'm saying, and they weren't supporting.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, okay, all right, maybe it's an anomaly. And then I went to Philadelphia, and then same thing or similar thing. And then I went across 2 swing states and battleground states on my way to the convention because Mignon and Donna invited me to the convention, and I said, I'm not just going to fly there. I'm going to go talk to voters, and I'm going to come there armed with some stuff so that I can talk.
And that's, by the way, for our audience, is Mignon Moore, who is the head of the convention, and she's a bigwig in the Democratic Party, and Donna Brazile, who formerly was the campaign manager for Al Gore, and also a former head of the DNC. Continue.
Right. Yeah. And so they invited me and they said, your voice is missing. I said, okay, so I'm good. If I'm going to go, I'm going to have a voice and I'm going to know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to go and talk to people rather than, no offense, Joy, because I know that you're a real reporter, people who are sitting around on shiny anchor desks, talking to talking heads and whatever. I want to talk to.
By the way, Don, not to cut you, but you know what I wanted to be doing during the campaign, right? Man on the street. I'm obsessed with it. It's my favorite thing. It's all I wanted to do. I just want, and that's why I was so excited by what you were doing. That's all. I love doing man on the street. It is my favorite form of journalism. Continue.
Yeah, because you get a pulse of the people. And so I was nervous. I was like, oh my God, are we going to put that out? And the moment I started putting it out, and I knew it was having an impact, and I was like, oh Lord, because my friends who are left-leaning were like, Don. And then I started getting calls from Fox News, from Newsmax, from The Hill, from, everyone, please come on, from, what's his name? Jesse Waters, producer. Like, come on, you got to talk to us about this. What do you, everyone was calling, all of the right wingers. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. And so I think that maybe, I don't know, because I'm to be honest with you, the Harris campaign, like treated me with a long handle spoon. You know how people say they handle you with a long handle spoon. I was like, I'm basically out here like singing your praises, and here you're just like, I'm like, I'm telling people I support you, Harris. But they were all nervous about it. Like I had some agenda, and I reached out to them and I said, you guys have a problem. I've been doing this for a long time. For 2 decades, I've been in this business and doing not just in news, but in network news, from NBC to CNN. And you have a problem. And it is, number one, you got a black male problem, which turned out not to be as big as it was, but they had misinformation about who, the whole stimulus check thing. But I said, you also have it with women too, because women are saying, black women are saying, I'm not just voting her because she's black. But the other problem that they had that I really wanted to tell them about was that they were I'm just going to be honest, they were ghettoizing black media, right? Black folks in media. This is my opinion. It's not yours. I know I can be more controversial. They were like, we're going to have a black media push. I'm like, why does a black woman need a black media push? She should be dropping by Joy Reid's show, popping in. She should be popping into the Tamron Hall show. She should be on the Don Lemon show for a second or a minute or whatever. She should be going to all these platforms that are with black media who are in the mainstream, black folks who are in the mainstream, to show folks that these are also people who are important and that I'm part of that community and that understand. I believe that they ran her campaign as if she was a white woman trying to appeal to black voters, when she was a black woman who understood and understands the black community, and they would not unleash her to the black folks. And so I think if you want to know what I think the biggest mistake was, that was the biggest mistake, and being too careful. I think that she did a great job. And it's considering the time frame that she had and what she was up against, and that her team was a former Biden team, and they were running things as if she was Biden or Hillary Clinton. And I think if she had more time with more perspective, she would say, wait a minute, this is my campaign and I'm going to run this the way that I'm going to run it. And that I have to distance myself from Joe Biden, and that I'm going to have to just go balls to the walls. I'm going to have to
agree with
hit the accelerator and say, and all those rules and throw them out the window. I know they're different for black people and black women. I get it. But I just say, in this moment, when you're running for president and you have the former president or the current president backing you and all the support, you just say, there's nothing that I can say that's going to piss people off. There's nothing that I can do that's worse than 34 felony counts. There's nothing that I can do with someone who's found liable in a civil court for sexual abuse. There's nothing that I can do that's worse than that. So I'm just going to go for it. And I believe that was kind of the mistake of the campaign, not necessarily Kamala Harris.
And I would say, as a former old campaign person, and who worked on the Obama campaign toward the end, I 100% agree. I think there was a sense that she was either being run the way Barack Obama was being run, which was very similar, which was not to lean into Black media or his Blackness, just assuming Black people would come along on their own, which they did because it was Barack Obama. And he was such a special sui generis case that there's never been
in the beginning, he didn't have the support of the Black community. Hillary Clinton did, and he
Hillary Clinton did.
Black caucus.
100%.
Yeah. But he won, was it Iowa or something? Or until he
won Indiana, he won North Carolina.
Yeah.
But what happened is when he won South Carolina, Black people began to believe and they suddenly came on board. And only in his case, he didn't actually have to make an ask of the Black community to get their support. They just loved him. They fell in love with him. And once they did, there was no turning back. With Kamala Harris, it wasn't like that because there was a skepticism about her, particularly from Black men. And in the end, it turned out there wasn't a sea change in the percentage of Black men who would vote for her. But what I think your man on the street interview showed is there was a softness to her support, which meant that the number of Blacks didn't come out. A lot of the people you talked to, I could tell from what they were saying, were not voters. They were like, they liked Trump, but they weren't going to vote. And that's what it turned out happened, that a lot of Blacks just stayed home. They weren't enthusiastic enough about her to vote for her. They liked Trump, but they really weren't coming out for him. Black people stayed home in an alarming number. And the last thing I'll say is, the people who were running the Kamala Harris campaign, not Kamala herself, she was phenomenal. I thought her actual performance was great given what she was given to work with. But not allowing her to distance herself from Joe Biden. In that View interview, she should have said, I would do a total turnaround from Biden. She should have completely distanced. She should have distanced from his Middle East policy, which really hurt her with young voters. And they should have put money on the ground for Black communities. Groups like Black Voters Matter weren't getting funded. Groups on the ground that turn out Black and Latina voters weren't getting money. They were giving money to TV. And I work in TV, so I love TV, but that's not where you spend if you really want Black turnout. What you were doing, I thought, was so valuable. They should have embraced it and used it as a way to change their strategy.
What she said. That's why she is Joy Reid. That's why she's on the readout.
Joy and Reid.
Best ratings on the network. I'm just saying. But let me ask you this: how was your interview with her?
I didn't get one in the campaign.
Oh okay.
And it was trying to make a point.
Right. Yeah. I had interviewed her. I've been several times.
Let me jump in because when Don agreed to do this out of the kindness of his heart, I did understand that, and he does have a show to get to, so I don't want to keep you. It is late in the day, and he was like, "Whatever time works for you guys," and I was like,
"I'm good, John. I'm good. Don't worry."
Okay, I just want to make sure. I'm good. Okay,
because I'll go like, "Look, y'all, I gotta go. I
gotta go." Oh no, we know Don well enough. I don't know if we are cool enough that he'll be like, "Peace," and disappear off the screen.
But I love your analysis. Jordan. It's like, look, we're not shading Kamala Harris. This is analysis. And these are things that we talked about during the election, and not just us. A lot of folks talked about this. And I think if they had just let her be her, the situation, I believe, would be different now. But that did not happen. So
it is.
America could have had a baddie, because I'm telling you right now, I've interviewed Kamala Harris for many years. My first real interview with her.
And she's formidable when you allow her to be her. Yeah.
Fabulous. Like, she really is a phenomenal human being. She's a great person. And I think she would have made a great president. And I think she did the best she could with the 107 days that she had. And to your point, a Biden team that included people who were really Biden people, not Harris people. And so, if she had been allowed to wipe that team clean and get her own team, we might have seen a different campaign, but she didn't have time to do that. She had to really build, because, keeping his team is how she also got to keep the $200 million that he had already raised. So, and then she raised a total of $1 billion, but it was because she kept basically the infrastructure. But that infrastructure, to me, is the difference between a 1.5% loss and a 5% win. I think she could have won this election. That actually hurts me more. I wish it was an unwinnable election, but she lost by 1.5%, but she lost all the swing states. And to me,
y'all are breaking my heart with this post-election wrap up.
It's heartbreaking.
You're over it, Jackie.
I can't relive it. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. Stop.
Okay.
And yet Jackie is making me watch The Good Fight, which is literally reliving the Trump administration.
But
Is it
that's not
really?
the
Forced
loss.
me.
You got to watch The
Watch.
Good Fight. It's so good.
Is this by the
Uh,
producers of The Good Wife, the former Good
Yes.
Wife
It's
producers?
yeah.
I loved that show. You know, yeah, I loved that
It's a
show.
sequel to it. You've got
It
it, but
is.
it's a predominantly Black cast for The Good Fight.
Is Christine Baranski on there?
Yeah,
No.
she's the
Oh yeah, she is.
She's
She's the
Baranski.
lead.
She's a
the
star.
lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the lead.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Julianne Margulies. But wait,
Wait,
we
we
got to
want-
ask you about New Year's Eve. If
Yes.
you heard what happened on CNN with Roy Wood Jr., he didn't say your name, but he was talking about you.
Oh yeah, I know. I got
The streets
a
wanna
message.
know. What do you think?
I got a text from him. He was
Before or after?
after. I don't know if I should share it because he is not, but
Yeah.
I know what he was trying to say, and I also know how the media was trying to spin it.
Yeah.
And I believe if anyone should feel some cringe about it or whatever, a certain way, which should be CNN.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, you know, I was watching really to see my girl Carrie Champion, and it took a long time for us to get to see Carrie. So I was like, I'm gonna support my girl Carrie. But honestly, New Year's Eve on CNN has not been the same without you. It just
It has
isn't the
not.
same.
I know. I haven't. I didn't watch it. I don't really watch CNN anymore. I'll tune into to Joy, and that's about it as far as it relates to legacy media or to cable. But it's not that I am bitter about anything. It's just that I'm not interested anymore. It's not interesting to me anymore to watch that stuff because there's a sort of sheen, a production about it that's not authentic and real anymore. It's not where people are anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
that's the issue. Is the independent journalism is where people are going. Talk a little bit about being independent and kind of what have you felt were the biggest challenges and the biggest opportunities of being independent?
Well, the biggest opportunities is the self-fulfillment that you get for being able to speak the truth and not have to worry about it, not have to self-edit. And you're like, like you were asking me to go back and answer your question, Jackie. When you asked me about, did I have any regrets in that moment? I didn't have any regrets because I was thinking, oh my God, I'm not restraining myself as I normally would. Sometimes I go a little far, but you know what? I'm just going to say it because there are people who are in this business who are not of my hue and shade and political leanings. They do it a couple times a week.
Yeah.
They call people names. They yell. They call people the B word. They do all kinds of things. They spread lies and rumors about us. And people love it. They applaud it. They're like, oh my God, I love her. She's so great. Or he's so great. Or he does this. And you're like, really? Because, she looks like a drag queen, if you want to know, and y'all know what I'm talking about. And he is obviously gay, or like all kinds of, but they're pretending on the other side. And I'm like, there are so many things that I could do to read those folks. And you know what? I'm unleashed for 2025, and I will next time. Let one of them come and fuck with me. I'm going to unleash on them in a way that they have never been unleashed upon before. Because I've been in this game, I know who they are, and I know what grifters they are, especially on the right. And so there are people on the right who do much worse than what I do and what I said, some salty words that I said almost every single day. If you Google them, their name starts with such and such calls out this person.
Right.
Such and such has harsh words, or such and such, said F you to this person. And you're like, oh, okay. So the rules are different for them. It's all okay for them, but for us, it means that we're unhinged, that we're having a breakdown, that we're having, we're crashing out, or all that. And it's like, no, I'm just telling you how I feel. I'm not having a crash. I'm perfectly happy and fine. So that's the good part. The other part is that it's a tough business. It's tough out here in these streets. There's a lot of competition, a lot of microphones, and there are no editorial standards. And guess where the money goes? To the people with no editorial standards, who do not believe in acting in good faith and on truth and facts. So they can spread rumors about vaccines or about, fake cures for a pandemic, right? For viruses. That, I'm going to take this sort of thing, and it's a pill for animals and all this, and everyone's like, oh, let's give them money and big contracts. Let's do that because they're right. They're carrying the right-wing message, and it's a message that's not based in facts. And so it's okay. But the moment a person of color or someone who is, as you say, center-right or center-left, or who abides by facts, or it's not the hue or the political leanings that they want, there's no money for us. There's very little money for us. Yeah. Okay. And so unless you are one of those people who wants to trade in your soul and your values to get to the front of the line first,
Yeah.
by becoming a MAGA person as a Black person, by betraying your own people, by betraying your own soul, by removing all the mirrors from your house so that you can't look at yourself. And so unless you're going to become one of those people
Wow.
who sides with the MAGA folks just because it's the shortest line to the front,
Don't
and
name
because you
names,
want to
John.
make
Don't
money,
name names.
I don't have to. There are a few of them out there that, then
Yeah.
it's hard out here on these streets for you, but there is a way for you to do it that you can still do it with integrity. And you get to be the big mouth Don Lemon that you are, and the outspoken Don Lemon. And you know what? If you don't like it, go F yourself. So,
well, let me ask you this.
Lemon no chaser.
When I saw the rant, and I do watch your show regularly. My mom and I watch it. I'm like, this guy, I love it. What part of you is not worried about Donald Trump coming after you? If he's going after the Des Moines Register, if he's going after ABC, what part of you is like, how are you managing that? Because it could, because he's suing everybody for nothing.
Well, I'm not telling any lies.
No, but neither was anyone else.
I'm not telling any lies, and I don't believe that. There is enough millions here for them to want to make an example of. Now, am I going to be audited? Here to the eternity? Who knows? But I'm good. Because as long as you're honest, then you'll be fine. Now, it may be painful to go through all of that, but look, a frivolous lawsuit would only help me. Because everything that I say, as I said, there are people out here who they don't have to base anything in facts. And no one is going to sue them because they're carrying water for the right or for the MAGA folks or for Donald Trump. But whatever I say, I can say F you. That's not going to get, who am I insulting by saying that? What person am I libeling or slandering by saying? I'm not. And so as long as what I say is based in fact and in truth, I'm saying, hey, listen, the guy was found liable in a civil court for sexual abuse, where the judge later clarified, saying in any other place it would be akin to, the R word. As long as I say that, then I'm fine. There's no.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's sticking to the facts. I wonder if you could tell me, as
but
somebody,
I am nervous that they will try to use that to squash independent journalists the way that they're using it to try to squash legacy media. And that's when the bosses at legacy media are worried about, because they don't want to have to deal with the litigation. And they know that even sometimes they just settle because it's a nuisance, right? And it's just, they don't want the headache. And then even with that, it makes them look bad, like as if they did something wrong. So that is concerning to me. Yeah.
I would love for you to talk just a little bit about what your kind of outlook is as to, for the Black community. I mean, a lot of our listeners are Black women who collectively have said we are taking a pass on the next several years in terms of saving America, in terms of putting our cape or wrapping it up or folding the cape neatly and putting it in the drawer. And there are a lot of Black women who are saying, we're out, we're done. We're not going to march. We're not going to really get involved or get engaged. And for the Black community writ large, as somebody who is very engaged and who obviously is remaining engaged, what do you say to that? And what do you think are the implications if Black folks really back off?
So I'm always going to take the lead and sit back and follow Black women, because they're always on the right side of history and they always do the right thing. And so if Black women are tired and they want to sit down and have some popcorn and some red wine or some white wine, can I draw you a foot bath? And how warm would you like the water for your foot bath?
And do you want bubbles?
And do you want bubbles? And do you want me to scratch your kitchens? I'm just saying.
Don't even stab me with it.
Do you want me to?
I just died.
Would you like me to do? You remember when you part the hair and the comb? Would you like me to do that? And you said
everything.
I'm going to do that because you guys have been keeping the democracy intact, keeping Black men, making Black men and keeping us to be kings and princes. And I understand that. So if Black women want to take a time out, then I receive that. And I know that Black women will jump in when they feel that it is the right time. I don't think that you should be apathy in many ways is what got us here. So
Yeah.
I don't want Black folks to be apathetic, but if you need to take a break, then take a break. If your supposed allies are out there and they're like, we need you to come march, and it's like, but wait a minute, you didn't vote with us when we needed you, so why should I come? So maybe there should be a little example setting here. Let me show you what happened and how we feel about this. So I'm okay with it, but I think like when it's time to jump back in, I think that folks need to, and I think that's going to be around the midterms when you have to. So start thinking about it, start plotting your path. But I will say to people, you can be informed without being inundated.
Yes.
You don't have to have every single alert on. You don't have to pay attention to every single post or every single tweet or all of every single micro breaking news story because it's just going to be chaos.
Yeah.
And so pick out your few people or places that you like to watch, support your independent media that you like to watch, and tune into that. And then once you're done at 8 p.m. Eastern with Joy Reid, then I'm out.
I love it.
I'm
One last
serious.
question before you're out of here.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
That's
it does.
perfect.
Okay.
Amen.
All right.
I do. I mean, Stacey Abrams is asking us to just go ahead and get back in it because, it's just going to take time for us to prepare for the midterms, and we got to get the ground game going. So I'm kind of in the middle. I'm taking a break. I don't watch as much.
Well, Jackie, you tell Stacey Abrams that she is she's a public servant.
Yes,
okay?
but she's talking to all women. She's saying he'll, take the time, but come back as soon as you can.
Okay. I agree with that.
She's saying take the time, rest, but don't just check out completely, which I feel we can't check out for the next 4 years. And I think
I said we don't need apathy, but take care of yourself. Have some self-care. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of self-care, how are you caring for yourself? Tell us about your wellness. Are you sleeping well?
I'm sleeping
eating well, working out.
You should read my book. So in the book, a lot of the stuff that I'm saying now is not like, it's in the book, right? It's called, wait, do I have the book? Oh, it's right here. Here's the book. That's right here.
Always have your books ready to show.
I didn't really think about it. And I have it's up in my loft here. I have the Merle, the Medgar Evers book. And I ran into the daughter, Jackie.
And let me just tell y'all, if you guys have not read Don Lemon, he is one of the most brilliant writers. So wonderful to read, just as wonderful to read as to listen to. I got to interview you for your previous book, Don, and you are such a great writer. I think people underestimate that part of your talent. And so I highly recommend that folks read you because you are wonderful to read.
I have your book. It's somewhere in here, but I think it's up in the loft. Can I also show off a friend's book of ours?
Please.
Yes.
That I just used?
Yes.
Holidays.
Oh, Tam.
I just got it.
Did you cook from that book?
I did. And Joy, you were all over my apartment in this. So forgive me, Joy, but
we were just listen, in one of our little groups, we were just talking about somebody who makes some amazing Hoppin' John that I actually need to have and try. But apparently Miss Tamara can kill a Hoppin' John, y'all.
Yes, she can. But I got to tell you, Joy, I believe this was the best meal I've ever cooked in my life. And I made black eyed peas, cabbage, pork chops, and cornbread.
Don't say that to Jackie. She'll tell you the pig could have hugged you.
For what meal? Like was
you're supposed, you got to have the meat, and so but there are folks, if you can't have the meat, and then you have something else. But it's part of the thing. This is the New Year's Day meal.
Where are the collard greens?
Oh, cabbage. As long as you have something green, you can have cabbage or collards.
Okay.
You have to have something green. And then you're supposed to take the cabbage and you're supposed to roll it in your house, roll the cabbage through the front door and out the back so that money will flow into the house and problems will flow out of the back.
Now, that's some New Orleans stuff.
That's new.
Oh, yeah. And then you take a piece of the cabbage because you're going to when you roll it into the house, you have to clean a bunch of the leaves off. So because you don't want the roll stuff, you clean it. You take one of the leaves from the cabbage and you take it and you pin it on the front of your front door for a while. And that will make sure that there's abundance and that money is flowing into your house.
Wonderful. Apparently, that's what I've been doing wrong. I haven't been rolling.
Roll your cabbage.
Yes, I will send it to you guys. You guys have your phones with you. I want you to read something that I just texted you to see so you guys can understand what I just said, what I've been telling y'all.
Hold on.
Do you see it?
A New Year's Day cabbage rolling. See, people
I didn't get it.
I did not see. I'm glad that this is in writing because it'll be like Kamala washing her greens in the bathtub. You know what I mean?
Did you see what it says? What does it say?
It's a good luck vegetable, blah, 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 blah. Superstition before, but one up, taking a whole cabbage and rolling it into the house through the front door and all the way through the house and out the back door. This is said to ensure that money will flow into the house and troubles that I got it. I got a cabbage sitting on. Wait, I'm gonna go get my cabbage. Hold on.
Okay, I need this text. You need to send me this text, Don. I did not.
I sent it. I mean, Joy, I sent it to you. Did you not?
Send it to my other number. Send it to my Florida number.
Oh, okay. Okay,
I got a cabbage, and
the
it's
one that
from a
starts with
farmer,
9,
so
not the
it's
one
a
that starts
dirty
with 3.
cabbage.
You have a giant, enormous cabbage.
Yeah. So take it, and then, but then you got to take a bunch of leaves off. You're gonna bowl that thing through and then you got to cook it though. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do it.
We're gonna do it.
Well,
Don Lemon, thank you so much for being on Read This, Read That. You are a unofficial and official cousin. We love you, Don, and there is nothing
you're
you
a play
can do
cousin
about it.
for sure. Come back often and always.
Please.
Thank you. Read This and Read That. I love it. I'm so glad that you guys keep doing what you do, and I pray for you guys always. God is going to bless you in 2025 and beyond. I feel that this is going to be a really great year for us, a monumental year, especially, I believe, for those of us in independent media and for those of us who are in legacy media. Hold on to your love. Like, hold on to your heart, baby.
I know, right? Right?
Love you guys. Happy New Year to you,
sisters. Have a great show.
Thank you. Bye, my sisters. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I love Don Lemon. How much do you love him?
We love Don Lemon. He is one of my favorite broadcasters. And just so smart and funny and hilarious and real and just such a great journalist. I think people underestimate just how great he is just as a journalist. And he's done so much just for us, paving the way in this business, especially for me as a cable person. I just love him. And the fact that he's as cool and as real in person as you expect him to be, because you see him on TV, y'all, he is exactly the way he is on TV. He's really that real.
So much so. I mean, and I love his work ethic, and as strong as his work ethic is, his play ethics match. He loves to have fun. He is, I mean, we used to be on those Joyner cruises together, girl, and it was some antics. He would bring his mom and she would be hanging out with my mom and my sister. And it was just like, his mom is a hoot.
I bet.
She is a hoot. And we would all just have so much fun on those cruises. So many memories. Because he was with Joyner for a few years. And like at the time, he and I lived in the same building.
That's awesome.
In Harlem. So many good times. But I'm happy with what he's doing because he is free. He's free. He can say what he wants, cover what he wants, the way he wants. And
Freedom.
You know, of course, he has that work ethic. He's going live twice a day, Monday through Friday. Most people would be like, "I'll be on the beach,
right,
until I go live at 5." But
we love it, and we love Don Lemon, and we want to thank you all for tuning in because this was a fun show.
Yes, it was. We love it, and we thank you all for tuning in to Read This and Read That. Our extended play cousins, we love you. We love you. So make sure that you follow us on YouTube. You follow us on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and that you on YouTube, you like and subscribe and wherever you, and make a comment. And if you, wherever you listen to podcasts, please subscribe, because that way, when we post the show, you'll get a notice and you'll know.
Absolutely. Subscribe to all the things. Hit that like button. We appreciate y'all for tuning in, and we will be back next week with more Read This or Read That. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Ciao, everybody.